the whole thing goes when traffic management becomes very difficult. So this further compounds to the problem. So rainfall in the evening and no water to drain out, and that too heavy rainfall, and located at few areas, and you don't have the former the prediction also, the forecast. So since Mohapatra Sahab has requested, or even he has told that we should be both positives and negatives. Yeah, we'll try to, I'll try to focus on that also. Positives, yes, India has mastered the art of, this predicting the tropical cyclones and others. But negatives are, we need to work on this urban disasters, low intensive disasters. Now low intensive disasters, so for that we need to have a proper, the surface observatories or the systems where we collect. I was told that AWS, automatic weather stations, we have about 157 in Hyderabad, in the GHMC limits. So 625 square kilometers, we have about 157 AWS stations. And in fact, I came here also. When I've joined, I come here to just see how that AWS works and try to understand how things and all are on the ground. So we have about 157 AWS stations, and which is about 2 by 2 square kilometers. That's almost like 4 square kilometers. You have one AWS station. We need to have more. That data is collected once in an hour. Once in an hour, even when the precipitation is say about 10 centimeters or 7-8 centimeters, and it spreads in just 1 hour. By the time you get an alert, there is rain already. So it has to be actually, like I've been to Bangalore recently with our team. There we saw that for every 15 minutes they were collecting this data. I think it is high time that we should shift into this also, that every 15 minutes we need to collect the data, so that that in an hour you get about four messages or 4 informations. And similarly, that spatial thing also, from 2 by 2 we have to probably reduce it to 1 by 1 or 1 square kilometer area, because we need to increase the number of stations on the ground in urban areas. And I was told that there is one Doppler weather radar here in Begumpet. Yes, even some of the times, Doppler weather radars, I don't know how it, it works on naturally a line of sight, and then cyclonic prediction. The weather radars are very, very useful because you have a very absolute line of sight there. But here in some of the hilly areas, like you have the Banjara Hills, and you have the other side, the shadow areas. I don't know how the weather, the prediction and all will happen. And there's a hill feature in between. So naturally, we need to have more weather radars too here in Hyderabad, especially in hilly terrains. Hilly terrains we need to, like for instance, Waynard. We have seen that we could not predict Waynard. Though there was a prediction, general prediction doesn't really serve any purpose. When I joined the service, I was in my first posting in 2000 as a DSP. So there we used to get alerts like US President is coming to India. So any information you have locally, please pass it on. This sort of general alerts will not really help us. Very general information. When US President is coming to Delhi for Republic Day, attending some Republic Day function, what information do I have in, say, some place like Kottaguda where I was in my first posting? These sort of general alerts will not really help. Alert has to be specific and very precise. We get alerts, one day alert for instance. We are getting alerts like between this 1 p.m. today to tomorrow 1 p.m. we are likely to get light or some moderate rainfall. Some alert is given, orange alert or yellow alert or whatever. So you get very light to moderate rainfall, and some areas are given. So that doesn't really serve the purpose, because when is the time and which are the areas, it's a very general alert. Alert has to be very specific. It has to say that you will get rain in these areas and you will not get rain in these areas. That also should be there. ఇక్కడ కూడా వర్షం పడదు అని చెప్పేటటువంటి అలర్ట్ ఉండాలన్నమాట. అది వస్తే కనుక then we are really mastered the art of this alert, right? So that alert has to be so specific, and it has to, now we are getting that that nowcast also is being given, and 3-4 hours. But 3-4 hours alert is generally, by the time you disseminate that information, the whole, everything gets happened on the ground. So now, having at least about 6 hours or 8 hours so that we can sufficiently alert the public also is quite important. Because now the economic costs in urban areas due to this rain, many of the areas get submerged or traffic goes for a haywire, and public get they have to keep waiting on the roads for about hours together. So this will have very hidden, very intangible economic costs are there in this. So we have to take all these things into consideration, and probably their IMD also has to take into this urban weather forecast to be on a much serious note. I think they have already done it. That I was just reading some of the articles on urban weather forecasting, like Mumbai has some 3-4 radars, or Delhi also has some 3-4 radars, and it's good. I mean, even Hyderabad also we need to have intensify. We have to increase that particular tools and the collecting the data that is being collected. Data has to be precise. The modeling tools have to be good, and then the interpretation has to be fine. So once all these things is done, then naturally you get a good, public can be given a good alert. So we need to have, at each and every stage, we need to get into this. And surely, I mean, IMD is doing a wonderful job, and Hydra will definitely work with IMD, and whatever best has to be done from our side in mitigating the urban disasters by way of cooperating with the various stakeholders like IMD and other agencies are here. So we'll be readily forthcoming. And today afternoon, in fact, we are organizing in Hydra a brainstorming session on urban lakes and the determination or fixing of the FTL for lakes and these things. With all the retired engineering chiefs and retired chief engineers and vice chancellors and a lot of professors, environmentalists and all. So I'm also trying to understand as to how the things are. I'm a mechanical engineer, so nothing relating to engineering and all actually. So civil engineering or irrigation part. But we are trying to, first understand how things are. And so now the dissemination of information to the public also has to be proper. So this general alerts too, we have to go to the specific alerts, and once that is given, public will start taking our alerts also quite seriously. So let us work in that direction, and we all are on the same, this thing will be surely, everybody wants to see that the system improves, and we are, along with all of you sir, we are there, and we'll see that the public are benefited by all our weather forecasts or by the urban mitigation measures, whatever we do. Thank you, and I thank IMD for giving me an opportunity to be part of this series.
Thank you so much, sir, for sharing word of wisdom with us. So now, I request DGM sir to kindly felicitate the chief guest. Please come in front, sir.
ఒక్క నిమిషం 2 నిమిషాలు అయిపోయింది 5 minutes కూర్చో 5 minutes.
Now I request TDGM sir to kindly felicitate DGM sir.
ఏదో సైజు
Moving forward, now MC Hyderabad head is requested to kindly felicitate TDGM sir. And who would like to felicitate our ma'am, Nazaria madam, head of MC Hyderabad?
And it was headed by an young officer, IPS officer of the rank of an SP. This was part of the GHMC, Greater Hyderabad Municipal Corporation, and the then Director UVDM were reporting to the Commissioner GHMC. Now Hydra, he is headed by a super time scale officer of the All India Services, so an IG rank officer from the police or a secretary or a principal secretary rank from the IAS. Now I'm privileged to be the first commissioner of Hydra, and government has, this is the first of its kind in the country. If you are aware that Hydra gets into, as the acronym, the name suggests, it is Hyderabad Disaster Response. So we respond to the disasters. And asset protection. We try to secure and protect the assets. Public assets are the water bodies, the parks, the government lands, various open spaces in the layouts, roads, for instance, a lot of encroachments onto the roads. So these are the public assets. Now both these are interlinked, right? Public assets and disaster response. In the sense that the lakes are encroached and you find absence of, many of the lakes have disappeared on the face of the Hyderabad city. Many streams have vanished. There are no nalas. And Hyderabad, like many other cities, it had the interconnectivity of the lakes. So many, you find that the lakes, the interconnectivity is missing. Lakes have vanished and the interconnectivity between the lakes is missing. And it's all, for even 2 centimeters of rainfall, the whole city goes for a toss. Now, when you see the disasters or the disasters, when you compare with the previous, when last century, 19th century, or even till recently, 1864 there was a tropical cyclone in, that was a cyclone in Calcutta. And I remember very well, I was a, child and a small boy. 1977, we had a severe cyclone in the coastal Andhra. It's called the Divisima Upena, right? That's very popular. In the Calcutta, Mohapatra Saab was mentioning that about 40,000 lives were lost. And in the Divisima cyclone also, more than 10,000 lives were lost. Now, when you compare with the previous phenomenon of disasters, tropical cyclones were playing havoc. We had a very lengthy coastline, and most of the times the cyclones hit on the eastern side, eastern coast. And due to poverty, many of the public were residing in the thatched houses. And so when a cyclone, I mean, there was no early warning systems like what we have now. So the damage was enormous till recently in the sense, I mean, till 30 years back. And thousands of lives, when were lost, or crores, hundreds or thousands of crores of property was lost. But now, IMD has mastered the prediction of cyclones, certainly, and I congratulate Mohammad Razab and his team for that. And as the speakers were mentioning, he's called the cyclone man of India, so that's also, I take it as a very credit to him. So we have now mastered the art of predicting cyclones. Even now, the floods also by and large, you have the disasters are predicted, and the magnitude or the enormity of the loss has come down drastically. Now in the changing scenario, we have to look at there is a paradigm shift in the disasters. Now what sort of shift is it? Earlier tropical cyclones were playing havoc. Now it is the urban, low intensive disasters are literally taking a toll on the country. See, urbanization, if you see the statistics, in around 2000, hardly about 25%, I believe, 25% of the country was urbanized. And 24, if you see, almost about 34% of the country is urbanized. And by 2050, it is likely to exceed 50%. So urbanization is going on, this increase is exponentially increasing. Telangana is more of an urbanized state, in the sense that Hyderabad city has, when you see we have the jurisdiction of the outer ring road, which is almost about 2,000 square kilometers. Earlier, the EVDM had jurisdiction only up to GHMC. That is about 625 square kilometers. Now, Hydra's jurisdiction extends to not just GHMC, it extends to even other 27 municipalities which surround GHMC. So it is more than 2,000 square kilometers. And the population residing in this is about 1.6 crores. And the vehicular population, if you see, it is about 85 lakhs, almost like 1:2 ratio. So I was the city traffic chief also, and I worked as DCP traffic here in Hyderabad, and I was a joint CP traffic too. So I know how the traffic problems would be when there is a small amount of rainfall, like just even 2 centimeters or 3 centimeters, the whole traffic goes for a toss, and the whole city is on a chaotic thing, and there you find traffic jams for 4 hours, 5 hours like this. And especially this is more severe in the IT corridors and the central areas of central zones of central part of the CBDs of the Hyderabad city. Now, so there is a paradigm shift. So earlier tropical cyclones and these things were actually playing havoc with the country. Now with the urbanization, this part of the urban cities, especially the metros, they are literally you find the whole thing going for this thing, and when you compute it, the hidden economic costs will run to hundreds and thousands of crores. Added to this is again the climatic changes. And you find that climatic change, Nagar was mentioning clearly that they say, now the intensity of precipitation, or we call the cloud bursts also, that also has increased. You find many times, that the precipitation in an hour is about more than 5 centimeters or 10 centimeters, we call that cloud burst, right? So, and the intensity of precipitation also, that also has increased drastically. And of course, the whole, the rainfall pattern by and large remains the same. But the wet spells have become more wet, and there is a huge gap of that dry spells in the monsoon season. And when the wet spells have become more wet, the problems are likely to compound. That's what we are seeing now. The nalas are occupied, the lakes are missing. The lakes are the holding areas for such water. They are the flood mitigation measures. They are the part of the flood mitigation. So lakes are missing, nalas are missing, and when the there are cloud bursts, and spatially and temporally you find lot of variation in the rainfall patterns, and another unfortunate thing, as a traffic officer, I used to always wait for the rain, what would be the likely time of rain. So very well, most of the rains happen in the afternoon or in the early evenings. That is, you have the temperature, it starts cooling, and the humidity also is on the almost on the higher scale. So it rains in the evening, and once it starts raining evening, it will be like total chaos. Evening around around 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock, once it starts raining, the city, you find a lot of waterlogging. We have more than about 140 waterlogging areas in Hyderabad. So this is the, as any police officer or a traffic officer would be very, very fearful or, very apprehensive that the rain, if it comes in the evening, he'll be really very jittery. Because the whole thing goes when traffic management becomes very difficult. So this further compounds to the problem. So rainfall in the evening and no water to drain out, and that too heavy rainfall, and located at few areas, and you don't have the former the prediction also, the forecast. So since Mohapatra Sahab has requested, or even he has told that we should be both positives and negatives, yeah, we'll try to I'll try to